Is this thing on?
Are you ready, Matt?
You're listening to Box Office Bingers
with Matt Diaz and Ernesto Santos.
Good evening, folks. We have a wonderful evening's entertainment lined up for you.
We know each other. He's a friend from work.
Box Office Bingers.
And the only way that I know how to do it is to find you a bloody good dump.
He's my friend. I don't have friends. I got family.
I can do this all day.
You know, if you put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Box Office Bingers 192. Now, this one's going to be really special, Ernesto. I think you know why, because he's sitting right next to you. But
I know.
But this is our Halloween episode. Now, by the time you guys are listening to this, it's Halloween's long gone. But let's just pretend that we're back on our record date of October 30th, where we're we're close to Halloween. So we're just getting to the vibe. And Ernesto, tell our lovely listeners what spooky movie we are reviewing this week, and who we're reviewing it with.
So we have, first and foremost, we have a very special guest. My son, Julian Santos, is on the show for the very first time. So, and on top of that, we were reviewing Five Nights at Freddy, written and directed by Emma Tammy, based on the video game series from Scott Cawthon, who also had a hand in writing the script. Julian, how you feeling? How you feeling about coming on?
Feeling pretty good, you know.
Yeah. Were you nervous?
Yeah, just a little nervous.
You don't have to be. You don't have to be nervous. We're just hanging out. We're just gonna hang out and just talk about movies.
I know.
All right. So you've recently started listening, right?
Yeah, I've been listening recently.
So what has been your favorite episode so far?
The Scream 6. That's my favorite.
Why?
Because I love Scream. It's my favorite horror movie. It's my favorite horror movie. So.
But why is that your favorite episode to listen to?
Because it's my favorite horror movie.
All right, we're gonna take that. And then Julian is a huge Five Nights at Freddy. I mean, you've been playing for as long as you've been begging me to get the game for you. So you've been playing.
It came out. The first one came out in 2012, and the creator of the game, Scott Cawthon, this was his last project with Five Nights at Freddy's, and he's handing it over to. Hold on.
You don't have to.
It's either Steel. I think it's Steel Wool. He's handing it over. It's a game company, Steel Wool.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I did not know it.
I didn't know that either.
Are you saying that the movie is the last project he's working on,
Five Nights at Freddy's? It's not. It may not be his last project ever, but with Five Nights at Freddy's, because he's been doing Five Nights at Freddy's since 2012.
Mm-hmm.
He is he's been in the game for longer than that's him.
Well, he doesn't see that.
Oh. he's been in the games for long time, and he hasn't just done Five Nights at Freddy's. He just started Five Nights at Freddy's till he did Five Nights at Freddy's in 2012. So he's been doing Five Nights at Freddy's for a while, a long time.
Yeah, I see that. I mean, also again, he's the creator of it, and it's really cool that he's able to get a hand. He had some right. So obviously he's been part of the movie, which I think it serves good that if the creator of the project is attached to any other adaptations. It shows a good sign for it. But how do you like the game, Julian?
It's a fun game. So basically, I think the newest one is Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach. That came out in 2020, I think. It's fun. I mean, the first game is obviously it's an indie horror game, so it's it came out in 2014, so the graphics aren't the best. It's a flat screen. You have a little camera. I mean. The movie was definitely made for the fans, definitely.
We're not getting into
I know,
the
I'm just
movie
saying,
yet.
I'm just saying. But yeah,
Just jumping the gun. Sorry. You're not the host. What are you doing?
The game.
He is very excited.
The game is fun. I do the game is. I don't know. It's just I love it.
But what is it about the game? And it's a point and click survival horror game, and it was 2014, not 2012 that it came out.
Oh.
But what is it about this game that you like so much? What is it that makes you want to keep playing it? What? Because it's not just what was that?
Story.
What about the story?
It's hard to explain because we're still figuring it out because no one really knows the full story. There's this one YouTuber. He was actually in the movie. You know the scene in. I'm just saying.
So we're gonna talk about that later on. In the
Okay.
show. So Julian is very excited.
Yeah, he is very excited. I will say this to his point, where it's like it's still ongoing. I watched a very quick 10-minute video on the lore of Five Nights at Freddy's. You guys want to get like a little bit of an understanding of what this is. And by the end of the 11 minutes, I was like, I still don't know what's going on. It's very confusing. There's so many things going on, and it does appear that the movie does tackle some of it. Maybe, I don't know. I'm very curious to hear your thoughts. Go ahead.
No, keep going.
I'm curious to hear your thoughts on it because there's a lot. I feel like there's a lot they're picking out, and I understand even Vanessa's part of the newer games, but we'll dive into all that a little bit later into the show, as Ernesto keeps saying. But first, we're gonna dive into a fun thing we like to call What You're Watching. So, Julian, let's put Five Nights at Freddy's aside just for a moment. But what other things have you been watching?
Lately I've been watching Big Bang Theory, Young Sheldon. I've just been on I want to say like a sitcom. Just like I've just been watching like a lot of comedy lately. A lot of Adam Sandler. I watched a little bit of his the new movie. I think it's called I'm Not Inviting You to My Bar Mitzvah or Bat Mitzvah.
Yeah.
Oh, the one with his daughters.
Yeah, the one with his daughters. I watched that one recently. Let me see.
What do you think about that one?
Well, I haven't finished it, but so far it's pretty good. Like, so far the premise is like his daughter likes this guy, and she's like, it would be cool if I invited him to my bar mitzvah. For girls, it's bar mitzvah, right?
I think it's bat mitzvah for girls.
For guys, it's bar mitzvah. Well, bat mitzvah, yeah. And whatchamacallit, yeah, it's pretty good so far. I've only gone like 30 minutes into the movie. But yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good so far.
Okay, all right.
What else?
Yeah.
Just a lot of Adam Sandler. I watched Just Roll With It recently. I think like a week or two ago. You haven't seen it? Mm-mm. It's an Adam Sandler movie. It has Jennifer Aniston in it. And
actually, I have seen it.
Just go with it.
Yeah, just go with it. And it has the family, and like he goes to like Africa, I think. No, that's blended. That's blended with that.
They're all the same.
They're about the same. It's like different. It's like same woman, different story. It's like I don't know. Well, he hires a lot of the same people for his projects.
I watched Scream, the entire Scream series recently. I watched Scream 4.
Yeah, we watched the first one together. So I introduced you to the first one. So out of all 6, which one has been your favorite?
I'm gonna have to go with the original.
The original.
It's a classic.
Classic choice.
It's a classic.
A close second has to be this newest one because of how different it was, like with the whole shotgun thing, like it just how different it was.
I liked it.
So are you saying that because right now we briefly talked about Five Nights. You said something about Scream. Are you like I know Ernesto, you said that he's also watched Quiet Place, right?
Yes.
First one, second one. Yeah.
So, first and second. So how do you feel about the horror genre? Because myself, I've been a little jaded throughout the years. I don't want to I'm not a big fan of it, but lately I've been going into the genre. So how do you feel about it so far?
Love it. I love horror. I love
All right.
I love feeling scared, just that feeling of being scared. I love it. I love horror.
It's so funny how you change, because he was not always like that.
I used to be afraid of the dark. But now I just love horror. Like, I love just that feeling. Like, it just gets your adrenaline pumping. Like, that feeling, like, when you're watching a horror movie and, like, you know that somebody's about to die. Like, when the music goes, it goes up and then you hear just nothing. Like, no, like, when the music stops, you know it's about to come. And you just go, oh.
Do you jump in those movies? Are you scared when you're watching them, or you're kind of just watching it? You're like, I can watch it with the lights off. I'm good.
I mean, I can watch it with my lights off. It's just I jump at the jump scares. Like, it's not that it scares me, but like the jump scares just like scare me. Like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah, especially with the music. The music is like I want like someone on YouTube put together like a whole scene with no music, because I feel like the music is what really scares you. And like the sounds rather than the actual act itself.
Yeah, it's like the build up of the suspense is really what gets you, like, your anxiety going.
Yeah, the music is what tells you what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, that's
sound
really good.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Sound. Yeah.
Telegraphs.
So you also said you watched Big Bang Theory. What got you into that? Why are you doing a deep dive on Big Bang Theory and Sheldon and all that stuff? I mean, I've watched them all except for Young Sheldon. I never got into Young Sheldon, but I do like Big Bang Theory. So what got you into that series?
Young Sheldon. I went over to my friend's house and he was watching Young Sheldon. I was like, oh, what's that? So I just, or actually no, it was Hannah. Hannah got me into Big Bang Theory because she has, I think, the first 6 seasons on like DVD.
Yeah.
And like she loves it, so like it got me into the show. I was like, oh, I should start watching it. And I started watching it, and I just fell in love with it. I love it.
Nice. Anything else you've been watching?
Nope. I think that's it.
All right, Ernesto, what about you?
I have one thing because the other things are not kid appropriate. And then, by the way, for those who are first time listeners, if you're here for Julian or Five Nights at Freddy, this is not typically a kid friendly show.
No.
But today we are gonna make it. We're gonna be good. Matt and I have decided we're gonna be good this episode, and we're not gonna use potty words.
Yeah, I've been listening to your podcast. You guys use a lot of potty words.
Yes, thank you for airing that out to the whole world.
You're
Julie.
welcome.
I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
No, he's not wrong.
I can't talk for other people's children, but yes, I have started to allow you to listen to our past things. And me, you're like, you remember when you said this? I was like, I don't even remember what I ate for breakfast yesterday.
I said that. Yeah, I literally said that. I was telling you about something in your podcast yesterday. Remember?
Yes.
I was telling you about when you went to go see Scream and there was a little kid like Bella's age.
I do remember that. I do remember that instance though, because it doesn't happen very often. Mm-mm. So the only thing that I'm going to talk about, going off of that, is that we took my other son Edward and his friends. They had like a first time out of school hangout with his buddies. Like they decided to meet up, so we as parents went with them, and they went to go see the new Paw Patrol movie.
Okay.
It was cute. Yeah, it was fine. It was a cute movie. I mean, I don't remember a lot of it, but it was a cute movie. It's like a cute movie for little kids. My daughter, Bella, she was like fully into it the whole time. Like she loved it. But he actually watched most of it.
Really?
But then he also spent the majority of the movie pounding popcorn and candy. This kid literally grabbed a handful of popcorn. He goes,
I mean, I can say the same for myself. Because they were selling cookie dough bites, and I had Mike and Ike's cookie dough bites, and something. You saw me grab them. It was something. I forgot what it was. I was pounding them.
Yeah. Yeah, because we go to the dollar store before we go to the movie theater and get some candy.
I literally only spent $2 on candy. $2. You know how much they were charging for candy at that theater?
Probably $10.
$5 for a bag of candy.
Yeah, they're upcharging you.
What's your favorite movie theater snack?
Like hot tamales or cookie dough bites.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know. Something about those cookie dough bites. I don't know.
That's because I introduced you into those. That's why.
No, Edward did.
And who do you think introduced him into those?
You.
Yeah.
So inadvertently, you did it.
My new snack is popcorn and chocolate.
Popcorn and chocolate. I know.
Amazing.
I know. We went to go see Oppenheimer. You put some jalapenos in your popcorn. That was new to me. That's
another good option. That's my other option. Yeah. If the theater, especially because you get the jalapeno juice and you dump it on there, it's delicious.
Yeah, that's something I won't do, but I'm glad that you enjoy it.
But it's funny because what I did notice from the Paw Patrol movie is that the theater next to me was being extremely loud, and it's because next to us was Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Like I literally could hear Taylor Swift through the walls of our theater.
Yeah, it's through the walls of it, like in the hallways. She's still there.
I know it's something we talked about last week, but it was just funny that I actually got to experience it firsthand. I was like, oh, it's like for real, because a lot of people were talking about seeing Killers of the Flower Moon, and it's a very quiet movie. So you're listening to these people talk, and all of a sudden you're hearing Taylor Swift like blasting right next to you.
Yeah.
It's it's called the Eras Tour, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a concert.
Why Taylor Swift? That's what they're like. Taylor.
Yeah, they're making, but you know what? They're making a lot of money. And they're bringing a lot of people back into the theater. So this could be a way for theaters to start making money again. This is a great thing. Like, it's bringing people out. This is the thing that's getting people to go back into the theaters, not, the next multiverse movie.
They just need to soundproof those theaters.
Yeah, you're right. They do need to soundproof
Correct.
theaters.
Yeah.
You don't want to watch
I agree.
They should create specific theaters. They should just create like auditoriums specifically for that, soundproofed or something like that.
Well, most of them are designed for the most part like that, but maybe arrange your movies better. Put all the action and concert movies on one side, and put all and then put all the quiet, like, indie and soft-spoken movies on the other side. You're not gonna eliminate it, but you can at least mitigate some of it. Meaning, like, you can be able to handle it better.
And also, to be fair, not every movie, like, it's like because Taylor Swift's The Eras Tour is a concert,
Correct.
so like it is loud for the full 2.5 hours.
Yeah. So
not every movie is like that, because you do have your peaks and your downsides on every movie. But yeah, with that one, if especially when you compare it to Killers of the Flower Moon, that movie is very soft spoken. So yeah, if Taylor's right next to it, you're getting two for the price of one, actually. So good for you.
What was really funny is that when we were at the theaters, like, there was a sign in the front that said, for the Eras Tour, that said it was encouraging people to get up and sing and dance and like, it's like, not your typical movie theater experience. We encourage you to do whatever you want. It's like, I mean, I know you were talking about your experience. You had a quiet experience, but I almost wish you would have went to the craziness to report back, Matthew.
I don't need that in my life.
Because we didn't go to like a big name theater. We went to like a small theater that's like a local theater.
Yeah, we didn't go to Springs.
Oh, okay. Which theater do you go to?
It's called CMX Grand 10.
Yeah.
I've never heard of it.
It's local. It's local here. It's local here to us.
It's a good theater. They only have like 6 auditoriums, but it's a good theater.
No, they have 10.
They have 10?
That's why it's called CMX 10, because they have 10 screens.
Oh, it's a good theater.
It's not bad.
Well, that's always good, because it's always nice to support local theater, because like AMC, Cinemark, Regal, they always get the bigger business because they have the better screens and the better projectors and more seats. But every now and then I like to go to the NZ and watch a movie there, and I like that. And there's also Aloma Cinema and Grill, which is they only have 3 screens, but they also serve you and stuff like that. So like
it's more like a restaurant.
Pretty much, yeah. But that's good about Paw Patrol. Like, I mean, if it hit the target audience, then so be it.
It was fine. I mean, the animation was cool, and I mean, I've seen way worse animated movies. Like, it's
fair.
So it wasn't bad. That's all I got, though.
All right. Okay. As you know, and this is our Halloween episode, I've been watching a lot of spooky stuff, Ernesto. But 2 in particular, I've been diving into some franchises. One is the Friday the 13th franchise. Julian, have you ever seen any of those movies?
Not yet.
Okay.
He's giving me the look that's the asking me look. No. There's a little bit too much adult interaction involved in those movies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's not wrong.
I know.
There's a lot of that.
I've seen the first movie. I've seen the third movie, which I've talked about already. And then I was skipping around, and I saw Freddy versus Jason, which is like the culmination of the 2 horror slashers come together. And do you remember, Ernesto, when we watched Godzilla versus Kong, and we were like, what was the best part about that movie? Was Godzilla and Kong when they're fighting. So I don't know why there's a whole bunch of humans in there, really kind of just slowing us down. We really just went to the good stuff of seeing these 2 iconic monsters fight. And I felt the same exact way when I watched this movie. This movie's only 90 minutes, but like hour is all plot. And I was like, why? Why do we need to sit here for an hour for story? I came here for one thing. I came here to watch Freddy versus Jason. And so far, an hour in, I have seen a little bit of Freddy, and I guess there's Jason. And then at the end, we finally get that. But it's like, I don't know. I mean, we need to do better when we do these versus movies. I think we're all here for one thing. We don't have to...
It was also, if I remember correctly, it was extremely campy.
It was, yeah. I think later down the line, which is the next thing I'm going to talk about, is that I watched the Friday the 13th, a YouTube recap of the entire franchise. It was about 30-ish, maybe a little under 30 minutes on YouTube. And I just because I was bouncing around, and I just wanted to get like a timeline of how all these movies are. And this franchise is really weird, Ernesto. It goes into a
They
whole
usually
bunch
are.
yeah, it just goes. It went to a whole bunch of different characters, and it's funny because I was explaining this franchise to a coworker of mine, and he commented with, "Wow, you know an awfully lot of movies that you've never seen before." And
You have a lot of information about stuff you've never seen.
exactly, yes. And I feel like part of me just wanted to understand what this was or why the popularity was there. And I think at the end of the day, I realized that I don't know why it's here in the first place or why there's so many of them. I think they're like 8 of these movies or 9. I just don't understand how it got that popular, and the fact that it went into like a whole bunch of different directions. There's also like psychic powers in one movie. He keeps.
Did
coming
you see the
back.
one where he went to space?
What?
Yes, that one's called Jason X, and
Yeah.
apparently that is. So what was weird is that they had a movie called, I think it was Jason Drag Me to Hell. I think that's
Yeah.
what the title was. And so that movie happens, whatever. It didn't look that significant. It looked really weird from what the brief things I saw about it. But at the end of it, they teased because I think they eventually got Jason to Hell. And at the end, you see Freddy's like iconic like claw, and you're like, oh, they've been trying to do this for like years. And at that moment, we're finally getting a Freddy versus Jason movie. But guess what? Before they made that movie, they decided that we need another Jason movie called Jason X. And so, like, if you would have saw the previous one, you would think the next one would be Freddy versus Jason. But no, they said Jason X. You know, the one he goes to space. That's our next movie. And I was like, what? Why would you do that? What's the whole
Why is
point
he
of
even
that?
in space?
Why,
It's a weird
exactly.
movie.
And I saw the.
I've seen it.
It's weird. I don't. There's a really weird way how he got to space, and I guess every horror icon needs to go to space, and you haven't made it if you didn't go to space, apparently.
I think if I remember, is that like the ship has some kind of like futuristic regenerative powers. So like when he went in there, it like made him like basically like Jason 2099. Like,
Yeah. Well, actually, that was like, from my understanding, that was like halfway through the movie. Apparently, they were able to freeze him for so many years.
That's right.
And
Yeah,
then
that's something dumb.
some people were messing around with things they shouldn't be messing around with, and then brought him back. And then at some point, he turned into a robot, and then apparently, timeline-wise, that is the end. That is the last movie in the franchise. But the events of Jason versus Freddy that came out after Jason X is before Jason X. So it's very confusing why they did any of this. But yeah, and then apparently there was a reboot that no one really liked. So yeah, I
and now it's a game.
and now it's a game, and now they're also, like I think we talked about before, they're making a prequel series. I think it's called Crystal Lake, that dives into more of the like how Freddy became Freddy, and maybe his mother, and all the things we probably don't need to know because we've already got them in other movies. But yeah, I think at the end of my Friday the 13th research, I just deemed that I don't care for this franchise at all.
But you know what? At least you were willing to go down the rabbit hole. But you went down.
Yeah.
What was the other one you did? Was Nightmare on Elm Street?
Nightmare on Elm Street.
See, that one you
Yeah, I
enjoyed.
did the same thing. And it's funny because now I watched only 2 movies from that franchise. The first one and then A New Nightmare. And I've seen 3 of Freddy, and I don't like that one more. well, I've seen 2 and then Freddy versus Jason. So I guess a little bit of both. So I guess both are equally like 2.5 movies if you count for each icon. So yeah, I think next year I'll dive into another horror icon. Because yeah, you're right. Last year I kind of did a deep dive on Freddy, and now a year later I don't remember anything about it. So all this information I learned about Friday the 13th will probably be gone by next year.
As soon as we're done recording, completely gone from your memory.
Gone. But then the other franchise I actually watched all the movies for, and I had a really good time watching them, was the Chucky franchise. I know I told you that I watched the first 3. Or if I didn't, then I did watch the first 3, and then I dived into Bride of Chucky, Seed of Chucky, Curse of Chucky, Cult of Chucky. It was a binging marathon that I did, and I will have to say they comes in waves, that franchise. That it's really interesting where they went with it. The first 3 kind of feels like it's connected, like 1, 2, and 3, really following the Andy storyline, and then Child's Play 3 was in '91. And then took a 7-year break, and then Bride of Chucky brought back the franchise. and they went to it in a more campy direction. They brought back his girlfriend that then eventually turned into a doll as well, and then they had that connection in there. And then Seed of Chucky kind of picks up right after Bride was, and it was that's the one that went very meta.
Yeah.
Like they very very meta and very weird. That was like the weirdest movie with this kid, and I was like, what am I watching right now? Julian, you watch that one when you're older. Don't watch it.
Yes, there. I remember.
Yeah.
I remember seeing it. And I remember that there's one scene that's just like
Crazy.
really, really. I don't even think crazy is the word for it. Do you know what I'm talking about, Matt?
Just
I think so. I mean, honestly, there are several scenes, but there's one in particular that was about halfway through the movie that was like, all right, we've gone over the edge now. We've went there.
Yeah.
And this franchise has already done crazy stuff, mainly with like how they murdered people. But this one took a little extra step that I was like, all right, this ain't the franchise I remember watching.
We are definitely crossing boundaries here.
there's a TV show now, right?
Yes, I believe there is a TV show now, right?
It's on Peacock. Is it like a reboot or is it like what is it?
Oh, so I'll explain to that in a second. I haven't watched the series, but it kind of leans into the rest of the things I'm going to talk about. So Bride and Seed kind of worked together, and then so that was 1998 and 2004, and then in 2013 they came out. So that was almost a 9-year break from that iteration. Then they came out with Curse of Chucky in 2013, which acted as a soft reboot of the franchise. And what's crazy is that the creator of it, I think, is Don Mancini. He was the writer for all of these movies, and then he tapped on as a director for Seed of Chucky. And then from there, he always saw that was more of a comedy for him. So then, a couple years later, they were bouncing around new ideas. They wanted to do a reboot. But then what's funny is that speaking of Friday the 13th, he realized that a lot of people didn't like how they kind of just rebooted a franchise and nobody liked it when it came to the 2009 version of Friday the 13th. So the director and now writer was like, we're going to make this a soft remake, a soft reboot, but we're going to make this still a sequel. So he wanted to do something different with it, but also not make it so they can appease the fans who've been following this character for so long.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing was that it took 44 minutes for Chucky to say a word. We spent half the movie. There's like, oh my God, people are dying, and in my head it's like, it's Chucky. We know that. We know who's committing these murders. We don't have it went all the way back to the first movie style, where here's this doll, and then like people die, and then like they look at this doll, and it's like people are going crazy, and it's like I was a little bit frustrated with that because we just went from like all the craziness that happened in the first two movies, like Chucky's doing his own thing, and then we're going back to the basics, and I was like, I think we could have continued. We could have spit that along just a little bit, but what I found really interesting, Ernesto, was that there was an Peacock, which I watched all these movies in, was missing the end credit scene. And what I learned was that Curse of Chucky was a straight-to-DVD release, and they had an unrated version to it, and at the end of it, there was an end credit scene that led right into the 2017 Cult of Chucky. So when I started Cult of Chucky, there was like a moment, like it kind of picked up right where the end credit scene left off, and I felt like, I missed something here. I don't know what's going on. And so I had to go on YouTube and find it. And I was like, that's a pretty big deal. That's a pretty big deal not to be on Peacock, that you did not include that end credit scene in the streaming. And I don't know why. Maybe they don't have the rights to that minute and a half worth of footage. But I found that quite interesting that it was not there.
Interesting.
So yeah,
that's weird.
It's very weird. And then Cult of Chucky, the last movie, also had a missing end credit scene that was not on Peacock that I had to find online. And basically they were like just bringing back characters that were in previous movies. But Curse and Cult felt like another part of like another iteration of the franchise as well. And then Cult kind of went into a whole bunch of crazy stuff as well. Not as crazy as what Bride and Seed did, but definitely some things out of the norm. And then to your point, Julian, they now are doing a TV series that is on Peacock, and it's very successful. And that's actually one of the reasons why I wanted to dive into this franchise, because the TV series was doing so good, and apparently it's a sequel to from the films that came before it. So yeah, I'm not sure if I'm going to dive into the series now since the spooky season is almost over, but it's something that I'm going to have my eyes on maybe next year, maybe like when all 3 seasons are out. But yeah, Julian, when you're older, maybe dive in the Chucky franchise. But for right now, just he's a murder doll. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, that's all you need to know.
But yeah, Ernesto, have you seen any of these Chucky movies? Do you remember?
I've seen a lot of the older ones. I think the last one I saw was
The reboot, right?
No, it was the Seed of Chucky. I haven't seen any of the reboot stuff.
Is there like a 2018 one, like Child's Play?
That's what he was just talking about. The 2017.
No, he's right. Yeah, there's another one.
There's another one.
Yeah, it's called.
There's another one. Yep, he's right. It's called Child's Play, and it stars Mark Hamill as the voice of Chucky. It's the first time they went against, I think his name is Brad something, and he is the iconic voice of Chucky. And so it's weird because Universal and MGM both own the franchise. So MGM felt the need to, you know what? We also own this. We're going to make a whole new movie and just be completely separated from all the stuff that's been going on. And nobody liked it.
Brad Dourif. Thank you.
Durf.
is the original one.
Thank you. But yeah, Mark Hamill decided to voice the voice Chucky in the 2019 or 2018 version. If you look at the picture, Chucky looked really bad. I'm not a fan of the Chucky design there. But yeah, either way, I've been having that's been my Halloween binges.
Oh gosh.
Learning about Freddy, learning about Chucky. Did you look at the photo?
Hold on.
Yeah.
I'm about to...
It's look. Oh.
What is that? What is that?
Yeah.
For those who are just listening, we're looking at.
It just looks like a demon. Like, what is that?
It's too like soft looking, especially when you compare it to like the original Chucky.
Yeah, which is literally right next to it. It
yeah.
looks.
He doesn't look like.
And also, what does he look like?
He doesn't look like he wants to hurt me. He just looked like. Ugh.
Well, that's the point. I think that was the point, but it's just too. For me, it's too different from the original.
Like, what is that haircut? Like, he has his hair like like grease really style. Weird. Like, he has his like hair greased, like slicked back like that. Like, what is
grease
that?
light?
Also, it went to like an AI approach to it. So like that was a new one. They went to like this Chucky's all AI based and everything.
So like Megan?
They went to it. Yes, exactly. Pretty much like Megan. But Megan was much better than the reboot of Child's Play. So a lot of people just pretend that movie didn't exist. And they just go like, yeah, no, Cult of Chucky was the last movie. That Child's Play? Nah, I've never heard of it.
Nah, it's not real.
Don't know what that movie's all about. It's not real. But anyway, that's all I've been watching. So with that, we're going to be diving into our spoiler review of Five Nights at Freddy's. Julian, now is the time we can talk about the movie. I'm really curious to hear your thoughts since you are the fan of the franchise. So let's hear it. What are your thoughts on the movie?
Okay, so I thought that it was great. I thought it was a great movie. A bunch of people are just hating on it because, like, I don't listen to them. They're not. Most of them aren't fans. Like, if you walk into this movie not being a fan, you're probably going to be really confused, like, what is happening? Mm-hmm. But I like how the movie paid homage to the people that it needed to. Like, for example, you know that scene where the aunt is in the diner and the server, he's like just a theory? The server?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I do.
That's a YouTuber that he has, like, he's been doing FNAF videos. Like, he doesn't play it, but he plays it on a different channel. His name is Matt Pat. Like, his channel's called Game Theory. He's been doing theories on this game since like the game came out. Like, he's like a veteran
of like covering the game and streaming it and all that.
He doesn't only do FNAF, but he mainly does it.
Yeah.
Like, he also has Film Theory. He made a video on FNAF. He did a video on him being in the movie. Also, you know the cab driver?
Yeah.
He's also a FNAF YouTuber. His name's Corey Kenshin. He's a FNAF player. The one YouTuber that people were mad about that they didn't put in the movie was his name's Markiplier. He wasn't in the movie. He's also like a veteran. Like, he's been playing for a long time.
Do you know why he wasn't in the movie?
Something about like his schedule. Like, they wanted to put him in the movie as like a character, but his schedule was just too busy. He couldn't. Like film, like at the time they were filming, like it didn't work out.
So, as far as besides like the fan service, what else? What about the movie was your? What else about the movie did you really love?
So I have some gripes about it, but there was like it was good. Like no, it was a good movie, but like there's just some things.
Hold up, guys.
Well,
I got some gripes about it.
There's some things that are just like, for example, like the whole thing with the aunt trying to take Abby, like that was totally unnecessary. Well, I mean, it wasn't unnecessary. It gave the girl a reason to want to go back to the pizzeria because, like, when she's like, I hate you, because she sees the aunt and the child settlement paper. Like, it gives her a reason to want to go back, but like, they could have done something else because in the actual game, like, there's no aunt, like none of that happens.
Is Abby in the game?
No.
What about
Mike?
Yeah.
Yeah. You play as him in the first game. So there's this theory that Mike, you know William Afton?
Yeah.
The well, at the time, Spring Bonnie. He is, the theory is he's Mike, because William has a son, Michael. And the theory is that Mike, because his name's, they don't say his last name in the movie. Because, like, you know, when he's recruiting, when he's going to the job office and he says Mike, in the game his name's Mike Schmidt. But the theory is that he's Mike Afton. But in this movie, they kind of debunked it by having Vanessa be William's daughter. But I mean, it's still possible. But that doesn't make sense because he's like, I took your brother, and we see his dad. At the cookout. So
it's different. So it's already different from the game. So did the movie merge like a bunch of different games together, or is the movie the first game?
It's mainly the first game, but it merged some of the newest game, like Vanessa. She's from the newest game. She gets taken over by Glitch Trap, a.k.a. William Afton.
The main bad guy.
She gets mind controlled by him. She gets, like... Because there's this VR game. We have the VR game. It has to do with the VR game. Because they're testing out a game, and, like, the Glitch Trap code gets into her head, and he mind controls her. It's a whole thing. It would... For me to explain the entire story, we would be here for like an hour. Like
okay,
hours,
okay.
Like
it's what we're here to talk about. But I'm just trying to understand. Like, so you were happy with how they mixed everything from the game and put it into the movie.
I mean, yeah. I did like the animatronics, the way they did those.
Well, those were real, created by the Jim Henson Creature Shop. So like they were created by the world's best animatronic creators.
I know.
That ever existed.
I mean, it's just the way they did it with the kids, the kid for Foxy, like, and Freddy, like they kind of did it weird, but like.
What do you mean?
Like, those kids, like, those are real. Like, that's what happens. William takes kids, he lures them away into a back room, and he murdered them. And stuff the bodies into the suits. Yeah. Like, that's what happens.
And then their souls are trapped in and controlling them.
Because there's this thing called, like, essence or something, and, like, it goes into the suits, and then their souls are in the suits. Like, but, like, it's just, like, I felt like they focused on the actual kids. Not too much, but, like, it felt like a driving plot line that, like, didn't really need to be explored. And also the thing with the aunt, again, like, there was no purpose. They focused on that a little too much.
Well, they wanted to give him an opposition, and it gave us some kills, because then she set up the robbery that everybody came in, and then that created a whole kill scene for us to watch of everybody getting murdered during the robbery.
Oh, yeah, my favorite scene was when the sister, she's like the kid's like, follow me. And, like, she's like, looking in the suit.
Yeah, let me look in the suit.
It just chops her, like, the top out of her. I don't know. I just felt like, because it just drops. Like.
It was a good kill. It was a good kill for them to showcase.
I like that. I just think that, like, it wasn't really more of a horror movie. Like, it didn't really show much of a horror aspect. More of, like a thriller, like a jump scare.
Like suspense and jump and thriller.
Yeah, like a suspense movie.
Okay.
Like, that's more of what... It wasn't much of a horror movie, more of, like, a suspense movie. But it was a good movie. It was a very good movie. I enjoyed it. People who hate it, I mean, like,
how were the people in your theater? Were the people in your theater loud?
No. The only time we were loud is at the end when the movie ended. We all clapped.
Were you guys the only ones in the theaters, or were there other people in there?
There was other people, it's just there wasn't a lot. Like, we had, like, a whole row to ourselves.
Okay.
Another thing is, you know how, I don't know if this was done intentionally, but you know how Matthew Lillard plays the killer?
Mm-hmm.
And the guy that's in the recruiting office?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that was done intentionally. I think it was. Because in the credits it says / recruiting officer.
Yeah, that was him. I think that was on purpose.
That had to have been done. Also, you know how, like, when he's in the suit, he does the knife wipe?
Mm-hmm.
I think that was an homage to Scream. Because, like, you know how Ghostface does that?
Oh, I didn't catch that, but that's a good one.
Because he also plays the killer in Scream.
Yeah, that's how that. To be honest, when I watched the movie, when they showed him, I go, he's probably the bad guy. I said, how are you just gonna show Matthew Lillard just randomly be this random person? It's like, oh, he's probably very important.
But that was probably an homage. I think it was an homage to Scream because he does a knife wipe.
Yeah, I agree.
And also Vanessa's whole character, I liked it. I like Vanessa's character. And the way they did Springtrap, like how at the end, like there's a mini post credit scene. It's like it's like right at the end. It's like he's like having a seizure in the suit. He's like,
he's in the room. When he's in the room and those things are digging into him.
The spring lock suit. So in the game, that happens in the game. So in the game, FNAF 4, yeah, it shows a 8-bit scene of him like the souls, like because there's this other thing that lets the souls out of the suits, and they chase him. And he's like, oh no, what do I do? So he hides in the suit because they're kids, they don't know. Mm-hmm. But it's raining outside, so the spring locks activate. And he just goes like, and it shows like blood, like, and he just falls to the floor dead. Mm. And also in the game, it shows like a clip of him just having like a seizure, like just like no noise, just like that.
Yeah, I was curious how they were able to kill him because they didn't show that. All they showed was the thing starting to come in on him. So my thought was that the other animatronics in their suits were like somehow controlling his suit.
Remember
I don't know.
Earlier how she presses the little doll thing with the broom and it goes.
I don't know. Maybe I missed that part.
Remember when Vanessa's they're in like the storage room getting stuff for the 4, and Mike is in there and he's like inspecting the little baby doll suit and he's like about to touch and Vanessa's like, don't do that. And she's like, look, and she puts a broom in and it goes. It's the same suit that I think Chica tried to stuff Abby in. Remember?
No,
they tried no.
They tried to stuff her into the
Springlock suit. It's a little baby doll Springlock suit.
But it's not that suit. It's a baby doll suit.
Yeah, but it's a Springlock one. That if you touch it. But Springtrap, he's been in it for so long that like, I guess the animatronics like awakening like probably activated or like something happened. It doesn't really explain how it happens, but like.
Now, is that little doll that was sitting in the cab at the end of the movie?
No, that's Balloon Boy. He's from the second game.
Yeah, because they made it seem like that was a big thing. I was like, oh, it's like a little person jumping into a cab. Like, I don't.
No, in the game, he's a lot bigger. He can't jump scare you. All he can do is disable your flashlight in the game.
Ah, okay.
And they put a noise from the game in the movie. You know, when Mike first gets to the door and like the noise it makes when he opens the door goes like. Mm-hmm. That's from the game. That's the noise it makes when you close the door in the game.
Okay.
He's stealing. No, keep going.
Keep going. Whatever you got.
I think the night guard in the beginning of the movie was just dumb. He's unscrewing the vent. He's like, and when he gets in there, he makes a noise. He's like, I'm gonna stand here for like a few seconds and not run. Like they already know I'm here.
Yeah, he doesn't have, but he's a security guard. He doesn't have keys to the doors.
Exactly, that's what I said. Like he's like struggling to open the door. Like, aren't you a security guard? You're supposed to have keys to every door.
That's what I was thinking about. I did think about that too. I was like, what is happening?
And it just shows him like, ah! Like that robot thing. Well, because that's what the animatronics are trying to do. In the game, they try to stuff you in a suit.
Yeah.
Because, like, there's a phone guy that talks to you, like, while you're on the job every night. He basically explains to you what's going to happen. Because because if you notice, he goes to his job 5 times. Because, like, Five Nights at Freddy's. Yeah. And there's 5 nights. And, like, it's 5 nights. So, like, he goes to his job 5 times. And on the first night, notice how only, like, Chica and Bonnie kind of, like, attack him, right? But on the second night, Foxy comes for him because in the game, Foxy comes on the second night. And on the third night, you have all 3 of them just harder. And then on the 4th and 5th night, Freddy comes. And Freddy's the hardest.
That's the one who does that weird whistling, right?
Well,
That's Foxy.
no, that's Fox when he was going dum dum dum, like when
The scatting.
yeah. In the game, when your power goes out, it goes like Freddy, and it goes dun 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 dun. Like that's Freddy's theme, and it shows his face glowing. Like that's how. If your power goes out, you're dead.
So in the game, is it to get out or just survive?
Survive.
So you just
You have to survive till 6 a.m. You start at 12, but you have to go till 6 a.m. You have to survive till 6 a.m.
Interesting.
It's a fun game.
So right now, I had a lot of notes. He said like 90% of them.
Did he?
So I was like,
he knocked them all out.
Like, he knocked them all off. As far as like the couple like the behind the scenes stuff and everything, or not behind the scenes, but like I knew about the YouTubers. I knew about there's a few other things, and I was like, oh no, he said it. Check. I don't got to talk about it. He's on a roll right now. Check. Yep. That guy. Yep. No, he got it. You're good. Yeah. Well researched. He knows his stuff for sure. But yeah, there were a few things, and you kind of made some clarity on it. And the video that I saw earlier also was a little bit clear. But yeah, the whole. I kind of agree with you that there's a lot of the storyline, mainly involving the people in the movie, that I didn't really care about. And I feel like if the movie was more central and more focused on, like, you have Mike trying to get out or trying to survive 5 nights, and if the story was a little bit more simpler, then I feel like I might have enjoyed it a little bit more. As a person who's not a fan and never played the games, the only thing I knew about it was that here's a security guard and here's your security cameras and you need to survive the night. And I was kind of surprised that we were getting all this different lore, and Mike had trouble sleeping, and then the kidnapping of his brother, and there's all this extra stuff that was in there. I was like, can we just go back inside the restaurant? That's really all I want to see right now. Ernesto, what about you?
I understand that this is a movie for children. So I guess that's kind of like that's kind of where I'm at with it. But there were certain things I did like. The suspense. I liked the fact that they used that none of the animatronics were CGI. I mean, that in itself is a feat. Like
Absolutely.
All practical effects. I mean, regardless of how you feel about the movie, that's something to be appreciated from it. That in itself. Just some of the storyline stuff was just. I felt like I was like playing catch up like most of the game.
Yes.
Most of the movie, where it's like, who's that person? Like why is he doing that? Or like I didn't understand why the animatronics loved Abby, and then like the second that Abby got mad at him, they like turned on Mike. It's like I thought they were all about killing people and like trapping people, but it seems like this movie was the beginning of that, because then they talk about like they're okay for most of the part, unless what's the main bad guy's name? Mike Alton?
Michael Afton.
William Afton.
William Afton.
That he comes and he influences them. So it's only when they influence him, when he influences them, that they go around killing people, or do they just go around killing people all the time?
Well, you see, the thing was that Abby was special because they wanted to make her like them. So William was ordering them to not mess with to make sure that Abby was happy around them. So William ordered them to like cater to Abby, make sure because I remember they didn't attack Michael because she loved Michael, because in all her drawings it had Michael in it. So them hurting Michael would make Abby upset. She was like, "Well, why would you do that?" And that would make them her not trust them. But the moment she got mad at Michael, the animatronics were like, "Oh, we gotta."
She didn't seem to care that they killed her aunt though.
No, she didn't know. Remember, she didn't know because
yeah.
she sees the front part of her, and then the little boy's like,
"What about
she
after?"
went to sleep.
But what about after? Afterwards, after that whole night happened, her and Mike have a conversation about visiting their friends again. It's like, did you forget that they killed your aunt?
No, that's because they didn't. Well, they didn't like. She didn't like. She literally said she hates her aunt.
It doesn't matter. She killed her. It doesn't matter.
Well, she hated her.
She's not important, Ernesto. We don't like her. She's dead now.
Forget her.
It's fine.
Okay. I mean,
in a weird way, she deserved it. Not really, but
No, she did because she tried to get Michael fired, and then before that, she literally only wants Abby for the money. Like that's literally like trashy on.
okay, all right, okay.
She was not a good.
She was not a good person.
According to Abby, she deserved to die. So
She did.
Also, I was a little bit confused because I thought the animatronics weren't allowed to or weren't able to leave the restaurant. So when I saw Freddy in the house, I was like, how did he get there? And then there was a joke afterward where they're in the cab. And so I was like, so did you just take a cab to the house and then took another cab to go back to the restaurant? A little bit confused about that part, like how he got there.
They can leave.
they can leave.
In this
can.
FNAF in this game called FNAF Sister Location, there's this animatronic called Ennard that goes inside Michael, like goes inside of him. And when if you decide to go home in the game, he'll come out and kill you.
Oh.
So they can leave.
So they can't. But it depends. Like they can't.
Unless they're like William. William probably told Freddy to go, or at least I think he had that one blue eye because I think that was Golden Freddy, which is another character.
What? There's another one?
Well, because it didn't used to always be Five Nights at Freddy's. It used to be Fredbear's Family Diner. Mm-hmm. And you know how, like, William had that, like, the golden bunny suit? Mm-hmm. It used to be Fredbear and Golden Freddy. Or, Fredbear and Golden Body. There's this whole thing, the Bite of 87. Like, it's a lot. Like, again, it's a lot. Like, there's this thing where Michael's brother gets his head chomped by Fredbear. Like, it's like Phone Guy mentions it in the first finale. He's like, I didn't know that somebody's like whole front of their part of their head could just be crushed like that. Cause he put his little brother in the suit's mouth, like he was like, no, please don't. And he was like, nope, and he put it in his face, like as a joke. He didn't know that he was gonna just went and crushed him and he died.
Wow.
Yeah, that was in the recap.
He goes, that was in the recap.
It's dark.
Yeah. It is like this whole series is dark in and of itself.
It's literally.
I didn't realize after watching the movie and after watching this recap that there's actually a lot of lore that I was unfamiliar with. And again, I thought it was just here's your security guard and you just need to survive the 5 nights and that was it. But yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot in there that I feel like that to Julian's point, this movie is kind of made and tailored to the fans, and then to us, it does feel like we're kind of catching up. Because there was a lot that I was trying to understand, especially with the kids in the bodies of the animatronics. Because in my head, it's like, well, when they start to smell, like to me, I didn't understand that. And then when I watched the recap, the William guy developed a compartment inside the suit where the bodies can be. So maybe because that the bodies are in the suits is kind of retaining all of that stuff. But then from there, the souls of those children went to possess the animatronics, and then which William can control somehow. I'm still a little bit confused about all that, but I'm trying to just take it for what it is, because or else I'm just going to be spinning my heads around how all of that works. But I mean, if that was already in the game, I guess I can't be mad at it because I was expecting something a lot simpler than a lot of the other stuff.
Well,
I do agree. I think.
No. Go ahead.
I was going to say I do agree with Julian when the fact that like. We got a lot of interactions between Mike and the animatronics, not through the animatronics, but through like the dream sequence when he's talking with these kids. And I would honestly prefer if they just eliminated that altogether and just put more focus on the animatronics. You spend all this money on making real life animatronics. It looks really cool. They look really cool.
They're great. They did look great.
Yeah, and they didn't. I feel like we could have utilized that if that's the angle we were going for. Especially when I felt like that the whole Garrett storyline with his little brother didn't really go anywhere because I was fully convinced that his brother was gonna be one of those animatronics, and then that would have kind of gave it like a moment of full circle. Maybe he still connect with his brother, or maybe that there was a plot line where like that's where the movie gets a little bit sentimental because he was able to get closure knowing that his brother kind of spiritually lived on into one of these animatronics, but was unaware of what he was doing because of what William was kind of influencing these animatronics to do. But they kind of just chalked up and be like, yeah, I killed your brother, and that's it. So you killed his brother, but all the other kids you you stuffed in an animatronic. It was a little bit confusing. I was a little bit disappointed with that, but
I didn't
the
think
rest
about
of the
that.
stuff wasn't bad.
I didn't think about that because then like he's just been his career counselor, like following him his whole life after he killed his brother all those years ago, or did he capture him and then just recently kill him?
Probably not, because if he would have just recently killed him, he would have been a fully grown adult because Mike's like an adult now. He's like a 30-year-old man.
But that's what last he saw that he was captured, so he doesn't know what happened to him afterwards.
He knows he's dead because Springtrap says, "I killed your brother, and now I'm gonna kill you."
That's what I'm saying. Oh. That's what I'm saying is that before that point, he was under the assumption that he was dead, but he didn't know for a fact that he was dead until he said those words. That's the whole point. He wants to relive the memory to see what he missed, to see what actually happened. And then. He's affected by that because you see in the beginning of the movie where he just trucks this dad who's yelling at his kid and beats him to a pulp in that fountain.
Yeah. It
was kind of strange. Pulled him off. It's like, he's not going to go to jail. He's going to go find a new job.
Yeah. Blow him off with a warning.
Yeah.
Understandably. That's
Right.
understandable. But I guess in that scene, it kind of made sense because obviously with his past, like he had his younger brother kidnapped, so that was like a sore spot for him, so he wanted to prevent that to happen to other people. Also, I wasn't too thrilled with Josh Hutcherson's performance in this movie. I felt it was kind of bland. Granted, I understand that his character was kind of going through a lot internally, so that kind of inflected into his performance, but I just feel like I didn't really get anything out of it. Also, like I didn't feel the need that he wanted to, be his sister's guardian. I didn't get that will. Even toward the end, when stuff was happening, it was Vanessa who kind of stepped up and kind of was, kind of stood up against her father, and it was Abby who was the one who told the animatronics that, hey, this guy's not good, and then they ended up going after him. So I'm not sure really Josh Hutcherson Mike really did in this whole scenario, except for just being our vehicle through this movie. But yeah, me personally, I feel like he was one of the weaker parts in the movie, and he was also given like a weak storyline as well, when everyone else had a lot of good moments to shine in there. But yeah, to what Julian was saying, what Ernesto was saying, Jim Henson's creation shop did an incredible job. I have some fun facts on it as well. The animatronic characters were performed by puppeteers from the Jim Henson Company. The shots where the characters weren't moving, the puppeteers would control both the head and the body movements. In the rare instances where the character would walk or dance, a stunt performer would don the costume while the puppeteers controlled the heads remotely, which I found very cool.
Yeah.
That they went through all these different lengths to kind of give realism to these animatronics, where I feel like that they didn't have to, because in the day and age of CGI, you could have just done it that way. But I like that the creators took the time to make this real physical things that we can enjoy in the movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously they're gonna, regardless of anything. I mean, because granted, what the numbers that they were able to pull in, they absolutely dominated this weekend. Domestically, 78 million. Here, I got the box off. 78 million, 52 million internationally, leading to 130 million worldwide. Matt, do you happen to have the budget numbers? What the budget was for this movie?
Yes, I do. You want to take a lucky guess? Take a guess. How much you think this movie cost?
I'm gonna go 35. Only because.
Julian, what about you?
45.
45. You'd be surprised this movie only cost $20 million.
Wow.
What?
So it's already destroyed. So, I mean, are they going to make another one?
Yes.
More than likely.
Yeah.
It's very likely that they will make another one just based off the money they made, and they get to reuse these animatronics that they've already spent money on. So now they can make more. So now they can make more animatronics. Now they can make more, because is there different ones in the game? Are there more in the game?
So in the second game they come back, but like withered. Like Bonnie's missing the top half of his face. Freddy's just like withered, and Chica is missing her beak and like a bunch of parts, and Foxy's just like destroyed. And
why? Is it because nobody's watching them anymore?
No, because in the second one they make a new restaurant and dismantle the old animatronics.
Ah.
And they make new ones. So there's Toy Chica, Toy Chica, Toy Bonnie.
I can look it up here.
Yeah, FNAF 2 characters.
Yeah, I know that there was. Is it like a creepy
Images.
doll one?
Yes, that's Marionette. Yeah, Images. See, Toy Chica,
Marinette.
Toy
Okay.
Freddy, Fritz Smith. That's the phone guy. The puppet, Jeremy.
Toy Chica, Balloon Boy.
That's the see. Look, click on Balloon Boy. That's the little thing that was in the movie.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that's the thing that was there. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, so there's openings for them to
Yeah, there's
do
a
a
lot.
lot for them to do a lot more for this franchise.
And how William Afton says, "I always come back," because that's one of them. That's one of his lines in the game. I always come back.
I always come back.
Because he does, and he always comes back. In the 6th game, they burn him to death, and he still comes back, because they don't shed any light on his character. His name's Charlie. Him and William were working together when they created the animatronics, but William needed a way to make the animatronics more lifelike, so he decided to dive deep into studies, and he killed a kid. His first kill was Charlie, his partner's daughter. He put on a mask, he lured his daughter outside, and killed her outside of the pizzeria. It's in a cutscene.
In the second game? Or in the first game?
I think it's in the 4th one. 4th one has a lot of storyline because it's like a prequel.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, again, a lot of story. It's an interesting story. Like again, I can send you the YouTube video, Ernesto,
Yeah.
but it's still confusing to me. But I mean, if you're playing along, I guess there's a lot to go off of, and a lot that they can go off too. And also kind of funny that what's the line, Julian? What does William say all the time?
I always come back. He says that at the end of the movie.
Okay, so with that, I guess Scott Cawthon in 2018, so this was like 5 years ago, he said that if the first film was successful, there could be a second and a third following the events of the second and third games, respectively. And so, back in 2018, I guess they were in the works of making a movie. It took 5 years or so just to get it off. Right now we have what we have today. But in January of this year, in an interview on a podcast with Matthew Lillard, he revealed that he signed on for a 3-picture deal with the studio.
So they're already anticipating for it to do well.
Right. But if it did well, then they've already have, I guess, plans that we have Matthew Lillard for 3 movies. And going back to the box office results, as you were saying, Ernesto, with a $78 million domestic opening, $130 worldwide, with a budget of $20 million.
It's a no-brainer.
I think no-brainer.
It's no-brainer.
No-brainer. This movie's a success, and you know what's even more incredible than that? This is, to me, this is crazy to wrap my brain around. That it now stands as the biggest horror debut of the year.
Yeah.
First of all, it also stands as the biggest opening ever for Blumhouse.
Mm-hmm.
Which, after all the movies that they come out with, a lot of the great successes, no movie opening weekend was able to make that type of dollars.
Because they also do do they also do Insidious? What's the other big horror franchise they do?
They did. I mean,
Purge. The Purge.
They did Purge. They did the Halloween movie.
That's right.
The 3 reboots.
And those numbers are considering the double opening between Peacock and theaters, simultaneous, that. That must have really helped. Yeah.
Weren't the Halloween reboots terrible?
Not necessarily. The first one was really good. The first one was decent, and then it just went way off the rails towards the end. It just went way left field, and it was just not. It was just. It was a weird ending to that franchise.
It really was. But yeah, I think to go off what you were saying, it's even more incredible that this was also a simultaneous release. Apparently, according to Jason Blum, that he already made back his money when he sold the distribution rights to streaming and to theaters.
That's crazy.
So Blumhouse is its own entity, as you know, and they were the one making the movie. But as far as distributing the movie, that goes to Universal and Peacock. So he spent, in his production company, $20 million just to make the movie. When he sold it for distribution rights and for streaming rights, he already made it back. So Blumhouse already made back their money, and then now Universal's whatever investment they made on it, which we don't know those numbers. They probably felt that because they, whatever money they spent on the property, they probably felt that, hey, we don't really need that big of a profit for it, so we can probably benefit from putting this on Peacock and in theaters. So whatever we do in theaters will probably just be a bonus, and everyone can watch it on Peacock. It'll be a new movie that people can stream. A lot of people are familiar with this based on the video game, so people can watch it at home when they're comfortable, or make a big thing out to the theater. And apparently, people with the movie out on Peacock, people came in droves to go watch this movie in the theater, which is incredible to me. Also, it does show that even with the day-to-date release on streaming and on theaters, that the movie can still make a lot of money.
It already has,
It already has. That's not a deterrent for people. Like, that's not for people who want to watch it at home. They're gonna watch it at home. For people who want to watch in theaters, they're gonna watch it in theaters. It's not Peacock was not a deterrent for people to be like, oh, well, I'll just watch it at home. It's like, no, I still want to watch this movie in the theater, and we're gonna do that. So to me, it's just crazy that they were able to make all the successes, and I think there's nothing coming out next week that's pretty big.
Marvels?
So,
Isn't the Marvels coming out next week or the week after?
The week after.
That's right.
So still has another week that it can probably shine the box office, and again, no brainer that we're probably gonna get. You can make 2 more movies. You can announce 2 movies right now, and the money that you made here, it's nothing.
It could already cover it.
So it's already covering it for sure. So with that, Julian, we'll go to you. Your final thoughts on Five Nights at Freddy's.
I thought it was a really great movie. 100% for the fans. Like, if you're not a fan of Five Nights at Freddy's, you probably didn't enjoy this movie as much as others did. That's just how it is. That's how the movie was made. So a lot of Easter eggs. That's just the movie wasn't just an homage to the fans. That's what it was. What it is and what it always will be.
Ernesto, what about you?
So I have a few things. First and foremost, I think where this movie shines is that they made this movie because they opted out of the rated R and went for the PG-13, which I think was smart on their part because they opened themselves up to their actual core audience. Because if they had made it rated R, I think it probably would have been a better movie for people who are not fans, because people who are their fans are, they're his age. This is the time when they want to see it. So I think Jason Blum tapping into that market, it was the smartest thing they could have done, doing the simultaneous release and also making the movie catering to the fans. I think the other thing I saw, Matt, was that it was the second biggest video game opening. Yeah.
Oh, behind Mario?
Yeah, according to IGN, in addition to Five Nights at Freddy's, stands as the biggest horror debut of the year globally in domestic box office, where it ranks ahead of Scream 6 at $44 million and The Nun 2 at $32 million. It has the second largest opening weekend for a video game adaptation, behind Super Mario Brothers and Super Mario's was $146 million. So even it's not even that far behind. So that just even speaks more that I think the movie was like a perfect storm of hitting all these fronts. So like it doesn't even matter that the movie has its issues, because it seems like people are very split. People either really love it, like who are fans, or people. Right. I mean, I've seen some reviews where people are absolutely dogging this movie. But like, I'm sorry, did you expect a movie written and directed by Christopher Nolan? Like, what were you expecting for Five Nights at Freddy? Right. What are you expecting? It's a kid's or a teen horror, a younger teen horror movie. And it's not even that it's a teen horror movie. Yeah. It's mainly meant for like tweens, like that little bit younger audience, because there's barely any curse words, there's barely any gore. Like, it's more kind of what you were talking about. It's more geared toward the suspense and the thrill, which is the better parts of horror, because that's the part where I think this movie actually, where it kind of shined was like that robbery scene. I actually really liked that scene. I thought the way that it was set up and the way that they did it was pretty cool, and the incorporation of the animatronics, the no use of CGI. You get that it just felt a little bit more real, like just going into it. So while it does have its issues story wise, and there are a few, I think the spectacle of it and like the lore of what it is and what it can be moving forward, I think is what's going to continue to drive this franchise.
I like the scene where they're in the storage room, or that guy's in the storage room. He has like a bat, and it's like it's like not the cupcakes behind him, right? I think it's one of the it's Bonnie. He's like running from the or I think Foxy, and he gets in this. Yeah, he's running from the cupcake, and he's like, and he turns on the light. He's like, and he hears something behind him, and it's Bonnie. Bonnie just absolutely like rips him apart.
Yeah.
And you see like his hand on the window. It's like a bloody hand.
Mm-hmm. Or when they send that cupcake through the vent, like that whole build to that scene.
Yeah, that's crazy.
When he's looking at them and then they're looking back at him, like how creepy and ominous was that scene? And it was reminiscent to the video game footage of how you look in the game, like because you're looking through like security cam footage, right?
Not the entire time. You have to open it up, and then if you look to the left, it's the left door, and if you turn on the light, you can see if the animatronic's there.
Yeah.
The way Foxy, because they all have different mechanics. Foxy is the most different because Foxy, you'll hear footsteps when he's coming, and you have to close the door. Like he doesn't move in like sectors, because like Bonnie, Chica, and Freddy, they'll move to one camera, and then they'll move to another camera, and back and keep going until they get to your door, and you have to close it. But Foxy, you'll see him in his little curtain, and move in one position in his curtain until his curtain's fully open, and he's like about to run, and like once you hear like footsteps, you have to close your door.
Couldn't you just close your door from the beginning? Like
You run out of power. There's a power limit.
Oh.
Remember when Matthew Lillard he says the power's a little shoddy at this building?
Oh, so that's that's a callback to what it's like in the game.
Yep.
Ah. See, like the more you explain it, the more I kind of get it. But the problem is that a lot of these things, and this is I think the issue that a lot of people have, is that we have you to explain this, but there was nobody in the movie to explain this during that time. So it's hard to appreciate stuff like this if you're coming in as an outside person who wants to learn about the franchise. That's where it's going to have issues, is that people who don't have somebody to like over explain things that the movie didn't explain, like it's hard. You know what I mean? It makes it harder to appreciate it if we're spending a lot of time catching up on things that the movie's not explaining to us, because it's almost, you come with the expectation. Like, you shouldn't have to come to a first movie with the expectation of knowing everything. The whole purpose is they give you, like, baseline knowledge, and throughout the story, you learn all these things like you did. Like, y'all did throughout all the time playing the game.
I see what you mean.
Yeah. Like, how could I... Because then, if I were able to appreciate it more, that goes, dang, that makes me want to play the game. And so then you can... And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of that anyway. I'd be curious to see what the increase in downloads for this game has been since the movie came out, because there was another. I'm sure it's gone up, but there was another movie that it was a video game. Maybe it was Mario that it saw a significant increase after the movie came out.
Could be Last of Us.
Oh no, it was Last of Us. Last of Us 2.
Yeah,
not The Last of Us Part 2. The Last of Us as well.
Yeah, which I mean, I think so far now that we're talking about it, like what a great year for video game adaptations when it comes to like either with
finally getting it right.
Finally getting it right. Last of Us, Mario, now Five Nights at Freddy's. There's been a lot this year, and all of them have been hitting on all cylinders because they've had a bad rep all these years, and now it feels like that we're getting a good rhythm of again, we have the creator having a hand in the script, so that helps with people who are to give more weight to these movies. And the same for The Last of Us. You have the creator of The Last of Us working on the series, so yeah, you're gonna have the people who know about the franchise work on the franchise, and then it seems like the pattern is that they come out with a great product. So I don't know, maybe keep doing that. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But to your point, Ernesto, I did write down that a lot of people were complaining that there were like the lack of gore that was in this movie. And to your point, it's like, what were you expecting? Like, just because there's no gore, that means that this doesn't qualify as a good movie. Also, as to what Julian said earlier, we just saw someone cut in half, and they showed it. So what are you complaining about? We saw it. We saw things, and like, granted, there wasn't a lot of it, but I mean, what do you want? Like, this is our PG-13 rating movie. That gives you what you need to know about it when you walk inside. It's not rated R. And go ahead.
No, go ahead.
And the game.
Go ahead.
And the game itself isn't gory. Like, the actual game isn't gory. The most it shows is like nothing. Like, it doesn't show, like, there's nothing. Like, the game itself isn't gory. It talks about it, but it never shows. The goriest thing is probably like old, like original, like old Mario, like the first Mario game graphics that shows like William Afton in the Spring Bonnie suit. Like, getting like mangled and like blood spurting out, but it's 2D and it's 8-bit. Like that's probably the goriest thing in the game.
Yeah. But I think, to be honest, I think that's what the point was, and I think that's what made the movie, the parts that I actually enjoyed, was the fact that it wasn't, because it, instead of relying on gore and you actually seeing it, it relied on other elements like sound or lack of sound, or like, using the mechanical footsteps, hearing the thing chomp, seeing the shadow of her being chopped in half. Like, we don't need to see it. Like, let your mind do the rest and fill in the gaps of what you've been shown. Like, what, like, we all know what's happened, and that, I don't know. Yeah. To me, those parts are of them trying to make it less gory. It actually worked for me. Those are the parts that actually worked for me.
I think it also just like it allows the creator to get more creative with how you design those kills. It's like, all right, we're not using gore and that, so what are we going to do instead? And I'm looking into it very quickly. Yeah, A Quiet Place and A Quiet Place Part 2, I think, are also great examples. They're both PG-13. I just looked it up, and they also do a great job of utilizing sound to have effective scares and kills that don't really rely on the need for the goriness of it. And so if Julian's also saying that there wasn't that much in the game, then again, what were people expecting? Were people expecting this hard R version of this movie?
Friday Nights at Freddy style.
Which we kind of got, actually. We did kind of get that at the very beginning with the whole, like, the mask and...
The mask,
the razors that were going into...
Is that from the game?
Kind of. So, in the game, the animatronics are trying to stuff you into a suit because... Their programming, they don't know that you're they think that you're an endoskeleton. Because in the game, they're endoskeletons with plating on them, and they think that you're an endo. Like, they think you're an endoskeleton, so they're trying to put you back in your suit. So that's how the game works. So, yes, because they're trying to put the Night Guard in the suit, which they successfully do by ripping his face apart with the saws.
Yeah.
So what happens after that? He is just dead? Like, they killed him, and then...
He's dead. Yep.
He's dead.
Because they can't fit him in the suit. They kill him before they try to fit him in.
Yeah, they kill him and then they stuff him in a suit. Like he's in a suit. He's dead.
It's like, didn't work. This one's dead.
Yeah, and they put it in the back. Because William Afton has this back room, this secret back room in all the pizzerias that he would put the children in. And he would lure them in there and kill them.
And then put him in the animatronic.
And stuff them in the suits to hide the body.
And then somehow their souls will be their souls will possess the animatronic, and then they become alive. Is that the idea?
Yeah, the only time that their souls don't possess the mainline animatronics is in FNAF 2, where they have the animatronics have special AI in them, where they're nice to kids, but they don't they're aggressive towards night guards. Because they're programmed to not like adults. But the withered animatronics, like the original main 5, I think. Yeah, they're still in the game. They're just withered. And they will still kill you.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, so I feel like I'm on the same along the lines with Ernesto of just there's a lot to iron out with the story, and especially for not fans like ourselves, it's a little bit hard to keep up with because there's a lot. I mean, again, I watched a very brief 11-minute YouTube video trying to catch me up on all the lore of Five Nights at Freddy's, and I'm still a little bit lost there. But if the movie took a little bit of time to kind of iron out those details so that even the common person who's very little about it can enjoy it, then I think it would have been a little bit more successful. But everything else the movie did was great. I just think I wish it just focused less on trying to connect everything together and trying to kind of catch up with the lore and just give us more of what the core game is all about. You have this guy just trying to survive. I think that would be a good first movie, and then the second movie could have maybe dived into a little bit more into it all. Like maybe we didn't need to get the reveal that Matthew Lillard was William Afton, even though maybe at the end of the movie you could have teased that and be like, oh, he is the big bad guy. What's his deal? And then we can dive into his backstory in the sequel. But I think this movie, at least to get more of a wider audience, just needed to be as simple as possible, just to get the idea down, and then maybe dive into the story beats a little bit later. So now going into the sequel, I'm curious how they're going to handle that. We know we're going to get one. That's kind of a given at this point. So Julian, kind of last thoughts again. Where do you want the sequel to go? Like, where do you see in the next movie? What would you like to see?
So in the sequel, I definitely want to see William Afton come back. I just don't want him to be like a main part of the story. I want him to take a little like a back, like more of like a back seat, like because William Afton, he doesn't have like a big part until the third game, where he actually attacks you in the vent. He's the only one in the game that can kill you. He attacks you from a little vent, like he kills you. But in this, because like in his second game, he doesn't show up in his second game. The main line, like the main villain should be, the animatronics, definitely, and Puppet, because there's this thing where they play like this little song. It's like they play it in the movie. In the beginning, it's just really slowed. And like if you have to wind the music box up, and if you don't, it comes and kills you, and there's no way to stop it.
Okay. And as we've discussed here, there's also plenty that they can go off of to give us a sequel or even a third movie as well. So yeah, I think overall it was good. At least for me, it was good. I enjoyed it for what it was. I think some of the story beats could have been ironed out a little bit, but I'm interested. Yeah. I'm interested in what this has going on, and I'm interested in going into the sequel to learn a little bit more about it. But I think as like a first outing, it was okay. Yeah. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad.
Not the best movie I've ever seen.
But also,
yeah, not the best, but not the worst.
Exactly. But also, if Julian really enjoyed it, then that's the core audience. So then it definitely hit that demographic. So
and money talks. It definitely made its money. So there is something to be said about that.
Absolutely. So there you go. That's our spoiler review on Five Nights at Freddy. Julian, you came in with a lot of.
You came in hot.
So thank you very much. You came in hot.
He didn't even pull his notes out. He had these things off the top of his head. It's
I don't even have notes.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
I have like a whole book. Like, it's called the Character Encyclopedia. It's every single Five Nights at Freddy's character.
We got you. I remember that. Yeah.
I forgot to go grab it. I was gonna go grab it for the episode, and I forgot to go get it.
That's okay. That's all right.
It's every.
You didn't need it.
Yeah.
It's every single Five Nights at Freddy's character explained. Every single one of them.
I remember. I do remember getting that book for you. Yes.
It's big. It's a lot of pages. There's like 145 characters.
A lot of pages. Well, thank you for joining us and giving us your insight on Five Nights at Freddy's. Yeah, if we would have done this episode, it would have been a whole different ballgame, Ernesto.
Yeah, this conversation would not have been complete. Conversation would have been completely different with just us.
Yeah. Yeah, we probably would have just been like, it was all right. And then Julian's like, hold up, guys. Yeah. Wait a minute.
You did a
There's
really
a lot
good
going
job.
on here that we need to discuss.
You did a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you for telling us all that stuff and giving us some more information that, maybe now going into the sequel, we might have a better appreciation now that we know a little bit more about what's going on with this universe. But Ernesto, tell us what we look forward to next week.
Next week, we are going to be reviewing our foreign film of the month, Anatomy of the Heart, I do believe the name is.
Fall?
Anatomy of the Fall. Anatomy of Fall or Anatomy of the Fall. I'll tell you right now.
Anatomy of a
Fall. Anatomy of a Fall. Foreign film. Yep. Matt suggested it. He said it is worth the 2.5 hours runtime. So I'm going to the theaters this week to go see it. So we'll see. I trust you. I trust you, Matthew. It's early Oscar buzz for next year, so we're just trying to once again get a jump on our stuff for Oscars.
Yes, it's a French film. It does get early buzz. Apparently, this is very similar to RRR. That apparently the bids are in of what each country is gonna have representing their. Each country have put in a movie that wants to represent their country into the international category to be possibly nominated, and a lot of people were surprised that this movie was not France's choice. But much like RRR, it could be nominated for other things, and so now I'm curious on why they didn't choose it and why a lot of people were, what was the buzz around this movie that people were upset about? That's why I want to watch it, and that's why we're going to talk about next week, and hopefully. To your point, Ernesto, it is justifiable with its 2.5 hour runtime.
We shall see. We shall see. And then, we're slowly working our way to episode 200. That's going to be that's like our next big thing we're working up to. So I don't even know. We don't even know what we're going to do yet. That's 8 episodes away. It's going to be here a lot sooner than we think.
Yeah, we still got a lot more to talk about before then. So you're not going to miss any of that. And if you want more from us, you can always follow us on our social media channels on Instagram at boxoffice_bingers. We are on Facebook. We are on YouTube. We are on TikTok. We are on. I'm missing. I always miss one. I'm missing one again. Yes, but we're YouTube. I always miss YouTube.
You said
we're
YouTube.
Also on YouTube.
You said YouTube.
Did I say YouTube?
Yeah.
I said Facebook, TikTok,
YouTube,
Facebook, TikTok. Anything that has a social media handle on it, we're on it at Box Office Bingers, except for X. We're on Box Office Binger without the S. So go follow us all over there on Instagram. We also do our Movie Showdown Mondays, where every Monday we put an artist on the line and go down his filmography or her filmography, and or just a franchise in general. Yeah, and so that's every Monday, and then every Friday we'll tell you what's new to streaming and what's in theaters. So not going to miss any of that. It's all good stuff over there. We'd like to thank each and every one of you for listening to us. Just talk about movies. Julian, thank you again for joining us. We really do appreciate it.
Did a great job,
Come back
buddy.
next week for more. You did a great job. You really did.
Thank you.
Come back for next week for more movie fun. You're not going to regret it. And for that, I've been your host, Matt Diaz.
Been Ernesto Santos. See ya.